And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
I was really cold, and I said I wanted to get warm, so. Thank you. I've been listening to you for about 2 years now. This is my first time here in person, and you're very beautiful. I have 2 questions. I hear source all the time. We know. We're here. It's speaking to me, guiding me.
Rooting for you, eager about you, acknowledging you, seeing your value, encouraging you, knowing you. Constantly there for you to tap into.
And yet this human that I'm in just...
You mean that human that taps into source?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that human taps into source. That human is an extension of source. Don't argue for your limitations. Don't focus on them, and don't make them the main event. They aren't. And don't ask that part of you to go away, because it's an important part. Don't put that part down, that human part who is receptive or not. But it's not the humanness that's the problem, it's the receptive or not part. What part do you like the best?
The receptive.
Then do more of that. But how do you know that you're doing that if you don't sometimes not do that?
Yeah.
And that matters. That relationship and that understanding of that relationship matters.
Yeah. And giving myself grace with that.
Not because you're inadequate or inferior, but because it's the natural process. That without it, you could never define. And it's guidance. It's not dictatorship. It's guidance. It's this way. It's that through life, through all of it, the wanted and the unwanted, you evolve. Without the unwanted, there would be no clarification of wanted. So it all matters, and it's all good. And you knew it when you came. So just like you're supposed to be doing, right on track, you're evolving and expanding. But what you're wanting to talk about is, after I expand, I suffer that I don't take the expansion. And we say, well, suffering is up to you. You could acknowledge rather than suffer. You could be interested in it rather than suffering. So life causes you to vibrationally expand, and then it takes a little while to get up to speed with that expansion. But in the meantime, if you're so hard on yourself and so noticing that I should be here, but I'm here. So what is it that makes you do that? Because your inner being sure isn't doing it. In fact, the very negative emotion that you feel is proof that your inner being isn't doing it. Every time you feel negative emotion, that's proof that what you're thinking about you and how you're doing in that moment is not in agreement with what source thinks. And so it's just old habits that you've picked up along your physical trail as you've replaced your true guidance system and your true relationship with source with relationships with others who didn't exactly know what they were doing.
Oh, wow.
If somebody needs you to be just a certain way in order for them to feel satisfied, then when you're not a certain way, they're not satisfied, and then you think you're failing. Well, it hasn't got anything to do with you. It's them trying to use you instead of their own guidance system for their own guidance. They've replaced their relationship with their inner being with you, and then they hold you to these standards that nobody should be held to, because how they feel is not any of your business. But in the meantime, you learn to stand on your head in lots of different ways in order to please them. And so you've taught yourself little by little that if you're not right where you think you ought to be, that something's wrong. No, something's evolving. It's not wrong, it's evolving. If we could just get you to hear this one thing. We said it and you heard it, but we're going to say it again. When you feel negative emotion, it means one thing and one thing only, and it's the most important thing in all that is. When you feel negative emotion, your thought doesn't match the thought of your inner being. So when you're hard on yourself, your inner being's not having any of it. When you're hard on somebody else, your inner being's not having any of it. That sort of sick feeling in your stomach just means you've left your trail for a minute. It's all right. It's all right.
I didn't even go into detail when that answered the first question. And it's true. Since listening to you, I've identified, those habits and those moments of how I react to contrast. And
those are such good words. Habit, really good word, and react to contrast. So let's just stay with the word react for just a little bit. Reacting from a flawed premise. Because when you've practiced the premise that you're so good and that you're so blessed and that things are working out for you all the time, and something happens from that premise, your reaction is quite different than when you're standing on a premise that I'm being judged by every single thing I do, and that if I get a little bit off, it's all going to go downhill, and no good will ever come from that. So reaction is an important concept to contemplate, but let's talk about the basis from which you're reacting. All of you know that you can be all really chill about something, all tuned in about something, and something's going on. Esther walked through the kitchen just now, and the hotels are all different in the way they allow that. And this one really didn't want her to do it. But she, with her cleverness and her determination to get what she wanted, she talked them into it by signing a waiver that if anything happened, that she would not hold them responsible for anything. And so as she went back through the area, there are more people back there than usual. Usually there's no one back there. Well, now there are a lot of people back there, partly because she is buying coffee and so forth for you, so they're there for that. Anyway, there are a lot of people back there. So she walked back, and everyone noticed her as she's walking through, and she's smiling. It's all right, she's saying and thinking. It's all right. Everything's all right. Everything's all right. Don't make me get my paper out. Everything's all right. Everything's all right. And as she walked past an area, a woman dropped a whole tray of dishes, of glasses. Crash. And Esther thought, I'm far enough away from that could not possibly have been my fault. But they're going to blame it on me. So we're kidding about this a bit. But Esther had no reaction. Everyone else is having a reaction. It must be a big deal when you drop a whole tray of glasses, because people are scurrying around and they're looking and they're talking with one another. But Esther did not have a strong reaction about it because she's been here with us. She didn't hardly even jump. It was almost like she knew it was coming. Her reaction was not one of distress about anything. She's just sort of walking over the pieces of glass. Yeah? Reaction. Reaction is about how I'm doing when something happens. And so it's not about preparing yourself for what might happen. It's not about anticipating what might happen so that you can react appropriately. It's about being all right with whatever happens. And then your reaction is always, oh, there's life. There's some life happening. And from it, good things are coming. I'm either getting more clarity, or it's evidence of alignment. Everything that happens, every single thing that happens, your reaction can be, oh, good. Sometimes wonderful things would happen to Esther after she started understanding this, and she'd say, I did that. And sometimes not such wonderful things would happen, and she'd say, I did that. When your reaction is always, I am the creator of my own reality, and source is on my side, then you don't react so much. Or your reaction is always a parlaying of positive momentum rather than a parlaying of negative momentum. Yes?
Yes.